Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. We're here today to talk some more about Battlefield 1. I told you guys, I warned you that I had a few more BF1 discussions up my sleeve for a rainy day. I'm actually wearing short sleeves today, so I'm not sure I could fit anything up there. And it's not actually raining, it's actually a beautiful day, but whatever. We're going to go ahead and do this thing anyways. Today we're going to talk about situational awareness and the changes that are being made to the mini-map inside of Battlefield 1. So what exactly are the changes, for those of you who are not aware? Well, first off, you will no longer be blipped on the mini-map when firing your weapon. Doesn't matter what that weapon is. Support gun, pistol, SMG, semi-automatic, doesn't matter what class you're playing, sniper rifle, you name it, you no longer appear as a blip on the minimap when pulling the trigger. I'm really happy about this. Now there's a bit more to this. You can still be blipped on the minimap through the game's spotting mechanics. So if an enemy player spots you, whether they're on foot or in a tank or in a plane, or maybe you get spotted by an enemy scout with the spotting scope, or maybe you get spotted by an enemy scout's flare gun. These are the primary ways in which you can still be blipped on the minimap. I want to talk a little bit about this, the whole concept of mini-maps and the way in which they've worked for pretty much the last 10 years in first-person shooters. I've never actually been a fan. There's a reason why I always want to play hardcore, even though I'm not actually that big of a fan of the reduced health, and it's because I don't like the way modern mini-maps work. We've become really accustomed to the idea that pulling the trigger on a weapon that is loud should also have a visual report tied in via the minimap. This never made sense to me. When I think about areas in game development in which it's necessary for the developer to translate maybe a call out or some sort of a warning or some sort of an event to a visual representation, I think of things that cannot be translated to the player in any other way. Now, when you pull the trigger on a pistol and you're in the bottom floor of a two-story building and there's a guy above you, he's gonna hear the trigger, he's gonna hear the pistol fire, he's gonna hear the gunshot. What more does a player need in order to identify an enemy player? In my opinion, they shouldn't need anything more. There shouldn't be a visual representation that then shows up on the radar that lets everyone within like a 20-foot radius know where that player was. It doesn't make sense to me, and it's particularly never made sense inside of the Battlefield franchise for me. A game that should focus more on what I like to call two-point situational awareness. What can I see on screen, and what can I hear through my headphones or through my audio while playing the game? That's really where BF1 is transitioning to with these changes to the minimap, and I'm really excited about this. Now, I've seen a few people who aren't too happy with the change, and in most instances, those players are calling out EA, or I should say calling out DICE, for removing an integral element of their situational awareness, as they put it. And I completely disagree with this. As I just said, it's more of a transition. It's kind of like going from digital back to analog. You're no longer going to be focusing primarily on what's going on in that little map in the corner in order to identify enemy targets in your area. Instead, you're going to rely on what's actually happening on screen. Again, that two-point situational awareness. What can I see and what can I hear? What that's done, at least in my experience with the BF1 beta, and of course with my experience in hardcore modes in previous Battlefields and in other games that don't follow traditional mini-map settings, is provide much more intense, much more down-to-the-wire, much more dramatic firefight situations. Especially when we talk infantry on infantry, map knowledge and player awareness comes into play far more than it did when you had, a more traditional mini-map setting. In the case of the BF1 beta, I had some outstanding games of cat and mouse running around the smaller building areas, especially around a location like C. It was one of my favorite places as a support gunner to lock down because I knew I could position myself in a certain building or in a window or maybe even just around the corner of some rocks, and I could lay down extended periods of suppressive and support fire before I had to relocate, knowing that the only way I was going to have my position revealed was by a physical spot or by a physical identification made by an enemy player. I wasn't going to be just blown away, have my cover absolutely annihilated just for doing my job of actually pulling the trigger. This change, guys, is going to go a long way for BF1 when we see the game's full release. It really genuinely is. I know right now a lot of people are really they want to look at the negative. They want to really focus on the fact that they're going to have to make that transition from what they knew previously to what they need to know now, and they're looking at it like it's one big negative, but I really think the positives greatly outweigh any of the negatives. I think this is going to be a huge boost to infantry on infantry combat, not to mention the advantages that you now have as an infantryman dealing with armor. You know, when you're trying to pull a flank on a sniper or on somebody who's really locked down in a specific position, you know, you're no longer going to have your cover blown, your maybe little stealth maneuver, you know, blown just because you had to kill someone along the way. It's all about that 2-point situational awareness now. What can I see? What can I hear? What can the enemy see? What can the enemy hear? It's, I'm really happy about this. I really liked it in the beta. I was so happy when I saw them implement it, and I cannot wait to experience the gunplay, the firefights that we're going to have because of this minimap change on all of the different maps that are going to be available in BF1's full release. Now, we talked briefly about the ability to still tag or blip players on the minimap via the spotting mechanics. Now, this is another positive that I wanted to talk about because you're giving more value to the spotting mechanic. It's no longer something that players just spam for a couple extra points. When you spot someone, when you call out and identify an enemy location or an enemy that is maybe potentially about to flank or, you know, get the jump on, say, your support gunner helping you lock down C, you are genuinely supporting your team. You're genuinely supporting that player by calling out and making that spot. And when we go one step further with the scout class, I think we're really boosting the purpose that the scout class actually has. You know, it's no longer just a role about landing headshots. Are people going to play it that way? Of course, but there are going to be plenty of people who see the power of the spotting flare and the spotting scope, and they're going to be able to use that to be serious assets to their team and to their squad. You know, imagine rushing into a capture point like C on Sinai. You know that it's locked down. You've got a scout or 2 scouts within the couple squads that you're running. You give them the call out. All right, guys, get flares up. Get on your spotting scopes. We're going to go ahead and push in. Your team now has this superhuman level of situational awareness that would have potentially been considered the norm before, but now it's this really nice little boost that has been provided by an actual member of your team that gives them more purpose. And you know, we're going to see a lot of players playing the scout role that are going to be great little assets that are going to help squads and teams push towards victory. I'm really excited about that. I think that does a lot for the scout role outside of it being a class about engaging targets at long range. All in all, guys, I'm on board for this change. As I said, I think the positives greatly outweigh the negatives. I've already had a lot of really good firefight experiences in the beta because of this change, and I think that as we push to the game's full release, it's just going to continue to prove itself as the right decision, the right step forward, and I'm very happy that DICE is willing to take the risk. I know there are a lot of people, maybe you're one of those people out there right now who are frustrated about it, but really think about it. Think about the positives that are going to come from this. It's not about a change for the sake of a change, and it's really not about the negatives that are going to come from this change. It's simply about making a transition. You're just going to have to adopt to that 2-point situational awareness I talked about. You're going to have to relearn how you played Battlefield, and I think for the better. You know, you're going to get back to focusing on what's going on screen, what's happening in front of me, what can I hear. That's a really cool feeling. I think some of the best first-person shooters that I've ever played, you know, have had that focus at their core. Think of Rainbow Six Siege. You know, that's such an incredible experience because it's all about that individual situational awareness, or at least 99% of the time, it's about what can I hear and what can I see, and how do I then use that information to make my next decision, to plan my next attack or my next defense. Let me know how you guys feel about it. I really would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. If you have any negatives or concerns in regards to the changes that have been made to the minimap, feel free to let me know. I would really love to hear what you have to say. Again, this is my personal opinion based on my personal experience. I do believe it is the better change, the better way forward at the end of the day. But let me know what you think. Throw your responses down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.